Well, here we go again. I've tried taping this once or twice, and it seems to have gone bonkers on me, so I'll try again. So here we are. This is Tuesday for me. It'll be Wednesday for you. And I just want to mention that yesterday's assignment, the 27th, a lot of you either didn't watch the video all the way, or if you did, you didn't take notes because you tried to answer the question, uh, but the information that you gave me had nothing to do with what the question was. So I don't think you guys are that it's not that hard to understand the material. I mean, that the video was pretty straightforward. When we get right down to it, the Roman army caused a lot of the problems because when the emperors started failing, the generals wanted to take over. And as they wanted to take over, they started fighting each other to see who would be the next emperor or in charge. And as they fought, the army depleted itself and they helped cause the fall of the Roman Empire. So anyway, that's what yesterday should have been about. There were probably 10 of you that I asked to complete your answers. I didn't grade them. I didn't mark it as 0 for not having answered the question. So you have an opportunity to go ahead and review. If you have to watch the film again, then go ahead and do that. But answer the question that I asked, and I'll grade it accordingly. No penalty for being late. It's just the way we're doing business right now. Okay? Anyway, I've got a set of notes here. I'm going to go through section 1, chapter 14. It's the fall of the Roman Empire. Your book will mirror this. I got this information out of the book, but this is a preview to let you know what you're going to be studying over the next few days and maybe even into next week. So in the late 100s, Rome started giving up a lot of its land because it recognized that it was just too large to be able to protect. The army was big already, but it couldn't protect all of it. Remember what the Roman Empire looked like. Rome is its capital, and the area was everything around the Mediterranean Sea, all the way up into Britain, over to Egypt, on the border of the Persian Empire. It's just a large area. Now, they built a lot of roads so they could get around in the area, but that still meant that communication was going to be hard to get anything from one end of the empire to the other. And they struggled with that. So the emperors of the time decided, well, let's give up some of this land and we won't have to go ahead and protect it. So that's what they did. The emperors feared that the empire had gotten way too large to govern efficiently, and they were right. So in addition to giving up land, the Germanic tribes, or the barbarians, attacked Rome's northern borders, while the Persians attacked the eastern borders. Rome defended itself for about 200 years once these invasions began. There were also problems, though, from within, and Rome started collapsing in on itself for a number of reasons. First of all, because the army had to be maintained, men were taken from their farms and the fields and sent to join the army to help protect the empire. The people that were left over couldn't maintain the amount of food that they needed to keep Rome supplied. Disease and taxes also took its toll. It helped to weaken the empire. And in the late 200s, an emperor, Diocletian, came to power, and he decided enough of this. We're going to go ahead and we're going to split this Roman Empire. There's going to be a co-emperor in the west, and I'm going to be emperor in the east. So Rome was the Western Roman Empire, and Constantinople was the Eastern Roman Empire, and there were two emperors for basically two different empires, even though they still were connected in some ways. So as you remember from a previous chapter, Constantine became emperor of the Eastern Roman Empire, and he tried to put the empire back together with a capital in Constantinople, but that didn't quite work out, and it ended up that the Eastern Roman Empire went off on its way, and the Western went off on their way. Barbarians from Germany and the Huns from Central Asia invaded nearby kingdoms and pushed their way into the empire. If the Goths was one of those barbaric tribes that the Romans actually bought off, they put them into an area where they could be a buffer between the actual barbarians and Rome itself. That worked for a while, but finally Rome stopped paying them, and because they didn't have any more money, they were losing everything. And the Goths just left where they were being as a buffer, and they attacked and sacked Rome in 410. Other barbarian tribes, now as they saw the Goths being able to make some headway into the Roman Empire and take title of Rome itself, decided that this was their opportunity. So you had the Franks, the Vandals, the Huns, they all invaded, and they all came in trying to get their piece of the pie. Rome needed strong emperors to defend the Western Empire, and that just didn't happen. By the 450s, military leaders ruled Rome, and there was no more emperor. But that's a problem, because of all the military leaders decided they wanted to be emperor, and they started fighting each other. So the legions of one general would fight the legions of another general. And of course, as we saw yesterday in the video, that just made Rome even weaker. These military leaders fought each other, and they made it even worse. The main causes for Rome's fall, and there's a list of them here, so I'm going to give them to you, and I'll go slowly so that if you need this later for any reason, you can come back and listen to this part again. First of all, the barbarian invasions. The barbarian invasions caused the generals to have to defend Rome, and as they defended Rome, their men were being killed, and that made it weak on the borders. The size of the empire we talked about made it hard to govern. How do you tell somebody in the far lands that you've changed the law relatively quickly? And that's where communication comes in too. It's hard to communicate throughout the whole of the empire. There was political corruption going on toward the end, where people were doing what they could for themselves and not so much for Rome. Because this was happening, the wealthy citizens, they left the city and went out to their country estates, where they would have where they wouldn't have to deal with what was going on in Rome. Well, because of that, the population was decreasing. People were leaving the city itself. Schools were being closed. Taxes and prices were climbing through the roof. And by the end of the 400s, Rome and the Western Roman Empire had collapsed in on itself. So this is the preview. And when you read the section, you'll find that you know a lot more than you think you do just by having watched this preview. So thanks a lot. And don't forget, we have a call scheduled for Thursday, that's tomorrow to you, on Zoom at 9 in the morning. So everybody, please join that. This isn't an optional thing. It's the one opportunity I get to speak with all of you and find out what's going on and see what I can do to help make this distance learning a little bit better. All right? So please join, and don't be afraid. If you don't want to talk, you don't have to. I'm not going to ask you to. But please join and listen to what I have to say. It'll be about 15 minutes, maybe a half hour at the most. So come and join. That's it for now. Have a great rest of your day. Take care.